Good morning, beautiful people of the center. I thought I would wear my birthday outfit again. Thank you. And I was so pleased that Eddie was able to stay after the birthday celebration and be here. And that chant, there's only one life, that life is God, that life is perfect, and that life is my life right now. These are words from Ernest Holmes, our founder, and they represent the heart of prayer, our concept of prayer, identifying our lives with the life, the only life, with reality. That's our journey in spirituality, to understand and embrace that and live from that. And it's the focus of our month, as you heard Julia say, prayer. That's our practice for the month. We're focusing on that. So, I was walking around the lake, the beautiful spring lake, in the moody, overcast, wet, lovely early morning. I love this weather. You know, I'm not in a hurry for the sun to come back. It'll come back. But this weather is so beautiful. It generates such deep thinking and introspection. You know, why rush? Very quiet in the room. So I'm walking around Spring Lake, you know, generating the mood of introspection. And my friend that I'm walking with asks me a question, says, Edward, have you ever been dead set on an idea and then had a complete change of mind? And I just latched onto that phrase, dead set. What a phrase. Dead, lifeless, set, permanent, non-moving, stuck. Yes, the answer is yes. I have been lifelessly stuck on non-moving points of views many times in my life. Haven't you? Yes, and that is exactly what prayer is for. Right? Yeah. So he carries on to explain to me how this particular point of view that he was dead set on, after getting additional information from outside sources, started to educate himself, he noticed he was experiencing a shift in perspective until finally he found himself on the exact opposite side of the position that he had started on. He had changed his mind completely. And a result of completely changing his mind, he had a completely different view of the same situation, a view that affected him to the point where it changed his voting inclination, it changed his choices, changed his decisions, changed his reality, changed his understanding, changed his experience. And as he was describing this to me, I thought to myself, that is what I call answered prayer. And if you can think of a time when you changed your opinion on something and the experience that came with it, then you understand the way affirmative prayer works. That's what it's all about. You know, we used to say a long time ago when we were starting the service and welcoming guests, and maybe some of you are old enough to remember this, we used to say, welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living, where all that we ask of you is that you stay open to the possibility of changing your entire life by simply changing your mind. And my friends, there is nothing simple about it. Nothing. Changing your mind? You have to be all kinds of everything to get that right. You have to be all kinds of dedicated, humble, open, willing, investigating, inquisitive, did I say flexible, teachable? You certainly can't be dead set. Or stuck. Or stubborn, not if you want movement. And we humans, we like to get dead set on certain ideas and we pick all the important ones. Stuck on ideas about life, about success, about romance, about partners, about the other party's politics, about religion, about the world, about morality, about bodies, about this, about that, about intimacy, about what things mean. Stuck. Did you find yours in the list? And the process of simply changing our mind is what prayer is all about. It is the process that we use to begin to shift our perspective so that we can find ourselves on the other side of the position that we first started on. See, one of the things I appreciate so much and enjoyed so much when I found the Center for Spiritual Living and its teaching was how it helped me to put to rest finally the idea of my childhood, of a God whose favor needed to be gained, of a God who had to be approached in a certain way with certain words, of a God who was the giver of blessings to some and nothing to others, of a God who had the ability to be disappointed in me and my choices, a God that had the ability to get mad at me, angry, who was jealous of my attention and vengeful when I strayed from it. No. See, I learned a whole new way to think about God. I was given the idea to think of God as mind. And everything, I was taught, happens in mind. Everything. And nothing disappoints mind. And mind has no preferences. Mind is simply reality. And so I learned how to work within my own mind, which is my personal use of the mind. And I learned to find in my mind the places where I was dead set on an idea and to methodically displace that with something alive and flowing and new and good for me and wholesome and truthful. That's prayer. So I learned also that prayer is not asking God for anything. That was the idea from my childhood. No. Mind. Prayer is not asking mind for something. See, this is what I learned. Mind doesn't mind what you and I do with our mind. And it requires no ceremony, no ritual, no formula. In fact, if mind had a message, if mind had a personality and a voice to speak to us in words, I suspect it would say, just use your mind and participate in the unfolding of what is. Or it would say, the other option is just sit back and let other people make decisions for you and unfold creation around you. Then you can accept their point of view as the answer to your prayer. I've done that. Have you done that? I'll give you an example. Because, we've just completed the busiest season for clergy. Thanksgiving, Christmas, the secular New Year, and my birthday. And I don't know if you've noticed this, but in this whole season, there are some dead set ideas that go with the whole thing, right? And some of these ideas were new to me. I didn't know. For example, I had to be taught how to respond to Christmas in America. I didn't know there were certain expectations because I grew up in the Southern Hemisphere. In Africa, December is midsummer. No dark, cold, wintry, moody nights with twinkling lights. No mystical solstice atmosphere that is pulling back the sun to warm us up. No, Christmas is summer holidays, bright, cheerful, outdoorsy. The last thing you want to be doing is stuck indoors with families sipping eggnog. But here, the whole season is all hooked up with the cold, as it should be, because the season determines how things are. And so I learned when people would say to me, do you have somewhere to go on Christmas Day? And I'd say, no. And they, oh. Well, you could come and spend it with our family, you poor thing. So over time, with exposure to this idea over time, I finally learned how to be sad on Christmas. Whereas I had never before been sad on Christmas. You see, and I call this the negative use of mind, the negative use of prayer, in which over time we shift perspective from freedom into bondage. Accepting other people's ideas, other people's interpretation of reality, till at one point, one day, I realized, oh my God, I don't have anywhere to go on Christmas Day. I'm all alone. Whereas before, that was a blessing. See, and if you can catch that shift in perspective, then you can say, no, before you become dead, set in it. Set in it until you're dead. No, you can put your foot down and say no to yourself. Don't accept other people's interpretation of reality. Don't let other people's opinions be the answers to your prayer. No. See, sometimes people use prayer in a negative form. How? By accepting and reinforcing ideas that hurt them, harm them, separate them from their good, and help them to live in a reality that is separate from what is true. You know, like mine at the time of accepting this idea was, I'm supposed to be having an experience and I'm not having it. So there's something wrong with me and therefore I ought to feel bad. How do I know I ought to feel bad? That's just the point. I don't know. I ought to feel bad. I mean, how would I feel if I hadn't learned I ought to feel bad? How would you feel if you didn't know that you ought to be jealous? How would you be if you didn't learn that you're supposed to be dissatisfied with your body? How would you be if you unlearned? See, mind doesn't mind if you install a good idea or a bad idea. Such is its love. Yeah, huh? Awesome. On Wednesday night, we sang a song that I'm remembering. It goes like this. Every thought is a prayer, and every prayer is a flower. Let it bloom in the sunshine of God's love. There it is. And prayer to me is the process of becoming aware of what I am bringing into the sunshine of God's love for its ultimate blooming. And so for me, as I became aware that I'm taking other people's ideas of the season, it would be appropriate for me to bring something else into play, to displace it. For example, I might take a moment and tell myself, saturate myself with the idea that my experience does not depend on any culture or any condition or any circumstance or anything or anyone who went before or anything that is currently in practice, because my life is made fresh and new every single moment. My happiness comes from mind and mind alone, and mind is all there is until I accept it and recognize it as the truth. Last Wednesday, we began a 30-day prayer commitment. There were about 350 people here, and we handed out this pamphlet. And the idea is we're going to practice together, those people who accept the invitation. And there are 30 days listed over here with different topics. So people are praying along together on these topics for their community. And if you didn't come, you can get the pamphlet from the bookstore. It's in a stand right in front of the Buddha, or you can download it from our website. Our homepage has got it right there under the files for you. But the idea is today is economy, 6th of January. So the way it works is you make a date with yourself, preferably in the morning, every day. Check the topic, and then you say a prayer for that topic, for your community. And if you need some inspiration or some guidance, then you can go to our online affirmative prayer library, and it explains in the bulletin how to get there. It's on our website too, because every day on our online affirmative prayer library, a prayer related to the topic has been scheduled to post, so you can read it for your inspiration. And I've been watching the statistics. Over 350 people visit the page every 24 hours. So people are practicing, and then you can feel like you're part of that momentum, and it's so wonderful. I want to add something onto your invitation. Let's say you do take the invitation and you start every day saying your prayer for the next 20-something days left now. And after you say your prayer or read it out loud or write it down, I invite you to spend the rest of your day watching your thought about the topic that you just prayed on. To notice what you're thinking and what you're doing and what you're saying. In other words, to cultivate awareness, because when you and I pray about something, it isn't only the time spent saying the words or writing the words or reading the words that leads to the answer. That's too narrow. It's everything that comes along as a result of that prayer, the energy, the growth, the movement that is generated from the prayer. And without awareness, it's very easy to miss the answer. You can say the prayer and get right back into being stuck. So I'm inviting you to change your mind about prayer. Let it be something larger. The idea from my childhood, prayer was the short formula I said, and when it's done, it's done. Let it be something else. Let it be a whole day's awareness. You see, when you and I say a prayer, we are initiating change. So accept that. Expect that. Believe it. And change requires movement and energy and life. And if you stay with your purpose of the prayer all day long, you will start to become aware of things inside of you. Places where your energy is being used, places where you are dead set, place where there is stuckness, places where you need to change. And slowly, little bit by little bit, you will feel a shift in your perspective. And that is the way of answered prayer. You see, prayer has less to do with a God somewhere and more to do with you and your use of mind. Because it's not a wish. It's not a request that is being sent off to a being somewhere. Prayer is how we initiate our own evolution. It is our use of mind. It is our process of awakening to reality. And it should have a warning label on it. Nothing simple about this, it should say. Because when you pray this way, the warning should say, it's going to uncover things in your unconscious. Stuff that is typically getting in the way of your answer. Stuff that is typically dead set. And you know that part of you and me that is dead set? It can become bothered when it detects change is happening. And it can begin to generate resistance in the form of procrastination, cynicism, laziness, distraction, indulgence, evidence gathering. because it thinks that its job is to keep you and me safe in our stuck zone. So, if you're praying, if you're going to be waking up the dead, there might be some dissonance. So for that reason, we recommend that you take advantage of every free resource that is available over here. Go online, put a prayer request online. Did you know that you will get a tailor-made personal treatment sent back to you? You can call the dial-a-thought number. The message is changed twice a week. You can call our prayer ministry. There's a live person who will talk to you. Or how about this? Make a decision after service every Sunday this year to go to the chapel and get a prayer set for you. Wow. Why not? Or go to our online prayer library and read the prayer every single day. Subscribe, get it delivered to your email. And go. Or you know what? Partner with somebody. Partner with somebody and share prayers for each other, which is the reason why we selected this book, Multiply Your Blessings by August Gold and Joel Fortinus, because it has special focus on prayer partners and how to develop a nourishing prayer partner experience. It's a really good read. And even if you don't have a prayer partner, so much yummy stuff in this book to enhance your prayer practice. So in closing, I brought along with me one of the prayers that are written in the back of the Science of Mind textbook for us to read together, to just imagine dwelling on this kind of thought all day long, saturating your attitude with it, modifying it to suit you, but to displace that which is hurting you with something like this. Won't you read it with me? Within myself is that which is perfect, that which is complete, that which is divine, that which was never born and cannot die, that which lives, which is God, the eternal reality. Within me is peace, poise, power, wholeness, and happiness. All the power that there is, and all the presence that there is, and all the life that there is God, the living Spirit Almighty, and this living Spirit is within me. It is wholeness. It is never weary. It is never tired. It is life. It is complete peace. It is never afraid. It is never confused. It is always poised and peaceful. It is always in a state of perfect equilibrium. This is the truth about me. There is no other self. Every image of fear is erased from my mind. Every sense of confusion leaves my thought. My mind now entertains and reflects the divine into everything which I do, say, and think, into my body, into my affairs. That divine within me is wholeness, and my mind reflects this wholeness into every organ, every function, every action, every reaction of my physical being, renewing it within me. There is something within me which goes before me and prepares the way wherever I go, making straight the way, making perfect the way. Consequently, my mind reflects the fullness of that divine reality, which heals every sense of lack in my life. Peace, poise, power, perfection is the living Spirit within me. It is me. I accept the fullness of my own divine well-being. And we say together, and so it is.